Hey now, it's Sharon. I'm back to share another idea on how we can better policing here in the US. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US, and I was also in the military. I share my ideas, thoughts, opinions, and experiences mostly while I was policing, because there were a couple of times where I had to whistleblow and I was ostracized and retaliated against. But those instances helped me figure out who I was exactly, because I thought I was the gun and badge, but I wasn't. But yeah, I wrote a book about it. I'll share that in a little bit. But I'm back. I've been gone for a couple of weeks. And so I wanted to share some other ideas on how we can better policing on an individual basis. The person getting into policing or the career officer, just some things to think about. Even folks that are not even in policing, you probably know a police officer or you've encountered one. And so I started to ask myself some questions, like I always do, with this last hiatus, if you will. And I remember I came across, I wrote it down, Matthew 5, where it speaks of Christ and he's talking about the Beatitudes and the blessings. And it's Matthew 5:9. I'll read it. It says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they should be called children of God. And so I started to ask myself questions. Was I a peacemaker as an officer? And most of the time, yes, because you believe that you're bringing peace to a situation or an incident where it's chaotic, something's going on, crime, problems, and you're going to bring peace. But then I started to ask myself that on a personal level. Do I bring peace to myself, to my family, to others? And I'd like to say yes. I'm sure I do, but the know-it-all in me probably gets on people's nerves. The very insistent takeover spirit. I do. That does happen to me sometimes. I'll take over a situation quickly, and I'm sure that gets on people's nerves. And I try to be mindful of that. So, do I bring peace all the time? Probably not. There are times when I talk too much. There are times when I might say something that I thought was cool to say, and it's not really cool, no, because it's crickets. So do I bring peace to others? I would like to say most of the time. Do I bring peace to my family? I would like to say, yes, I do. But again, I probably get on their nerves with certain things that I might say and do. So I try to be mindful and aware, right? As a peacemaker. But then I looked up peacemaker in the Bible, and peace in the Bible is based on justice and righteousness. And justice and righteousness equals peace. So, I've been, like I said, gone for a couple of weeks, and I've been watching what's going on in the news and within the world and in this country and the division. Justice and righteousness equals peace. So that means when there's no justice and unrighteousness, is there any lasting peace? No, there isn't. And as an officer, did I actively try to pursue peace? Definitely. My definition of peace at that time was probably different. Well, yeah, it was a little different. But up until now, it's definitely different. Do I pursue peace actively for myself? I do. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to involve myself in or talk about. I like to sleep. I sleep at night really good. And so yes, I actively pursue peace for myself. I wrote it down. Can I get along with others? I think I can get along, because there's times within myself where I might see something, it's not really bothering anybody, or I'm not going to say anything, or I'm not going to one-up you in a conversation. I just listen, But is that recognized, or is that the idea of policing when you're getting into policing? Does that individual bring that with them? Or is it just running and gunning and, like they say, full of piss and vinegar type thing? You just want to run and chase people. And I saw a TikTok the other day where an officer said, I like chasing people. Okay. Okay. I ain't even gonna get into that. But let me just stick with the blessed are the peacemakers. So as an officer, I did believe I was a peacemaker. I was blessed. I wanted to bring peace to situations. Within that time of being ostracized and retaliated against, I did realize that within myself, within my true identity, spiritually, physically, that I wasn't the gun and badge. I wasn't the law. I represented the law. I also knew I wasn't above the law. I talked about that in other videos, where my encounter with other law enforcement officers, if I wasn't in uniform, the treatment was, yeah. I talk about that in other videos. So as an officer, I would just say this to keep it short. If you're thinking about getting into it, or if you're a career officer, you need to do an introspection within yourself. Do I bring peace? Do I bring peace to my family? When I walk in a room, is it quiet? Are they walking on eggshells around me? You're an officer, you're a detective. You peep things, you see things, you hear things, you're observant. Do they get quiet when you walk in? Does everybody leave the room when you come home? So if you don't have peace in your house, or bring peace to your house, I don't think you could do it out there in the neighborhood. I really don't think so. I'll leave it at that. I'll come back next week with some more, with other observations that I think will help with the recruit coming into policing, or the career officer. And like, subscribe, comment, if you will. I'd appreciate it. I love hearing other perspectives. I did write a book about my experience being ostracized and retaliated against. You can see it right there. It's on lulu.com, LULU.com. It's $15 at the moment. It talks about a couple of situations. Well, the third situation where I was ostracized and retaliated against, and some of the things I thought, what I was going through at the time. I share that in the book, and some revelations from studying and things like that I share. If you're a Christian or you're a believer in Christ, I would suggest you read part 3 first, and then go back and start the book. You'll understand why. But with that, I'll come back next week. And as is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.